Captain Jessica Martinez walked into the motor pool of Fort Carson, Colorado, wearing civilian clothes, jeans, a simple t-shirt, and a baseball cap that concealed most of her dark hair. She just returned from a year-long deployment and wanted to check on her vehicle before officially signing back into the base. It was 600, early enough that only the maintenance crew would be around. Her personal vehicle, a 2015 Jeep Wrangler, had been in storage while she was deployed. She needed to ensure it was still running before her parents arrived to visit that afternoon. The motor pool was a massive garage complex that serviced both military and personal vehicles for soldiers. As she walked through the bay looking for her Jeep, she heard wolf whistles from a group of mechanics. "Well, what do we have here?" a voice called out. Master Sergeant Roy Tucker emerged from beneath a Humvee, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. He was in his early 40s, built like a linebacker with sergeant chevrons that he wore like a crown. His crew, 4 junior enlisted soldiers, watched with grins on their faces. "You lost, sweetheart?" Tucker asked, sauntering over. His eyes traveled up and down Jessica's 5'5" frame in a way that made her skin crawl. "I'm looking for my vehicle," Jessica said evenly. "It's in Storage Bay 7. Tucker stepped closer, close enough that she could smell the cigarettes on his breath. "Storage Bay 7 is restricted to military personnel only. You need to be on the access list." "I'm on the list," Jessica replied, trying to step around him. He moved to block her path. "I don't think so, honey. I know everyone on that list and I definitely remember you." He grinned at his crew, who chuckled appreciatively. "But maybe we can work something out. You look like you could use some help with your car. What's a pretty little thing like you driving anyway? A Prius? A Mini Cooper?" "A Jeep Wrangler," Jessica said, her jaw tightening. "And I don't need help." "A Jeep," Tucker laughed loudly. "Sweetheart, do you even know how to change a tire on that thing? Tell you what, why don't you give me your number and I'll personally make sure your vehicle gets taken care of. Maybe we can discuss it over dinner." Private First Class Danny Chen, one of Tucker's crew, shifted uncomfortably. "Sergeant Tucker, maybe we should check the list." "Shut it, Chen," Tucker snapped. "I'm having a conversation with the lady here." He turned back to Jessica. "So what do you say, beautiful? Dinner? I know a great place off base. I can show you what a real soldier looks like." Jessica's expression remained neutral, but her hands had curled into fists. "I need to get my vehicle, now." "Ooh, feisty, I like that." Tucker reached out as if to touch her arm. Jessica stepped back sharply. "Don't touch me." "Come on, don't be like that," Tucker said, his tone shifting from flirtatious to annoyed. "I'm trying to be nice here. You should be flattered. Not every day a master sergeant pays attention to a civilian girl." "I'm not a civilian," Jessica said quietly. Tucker laughed again. "What are you, some private's wife? National Guard? Reserve?" He said the last two like they were jokes. "Listen, sweetheart, I'm regular Army. 15 years, 3 combat deployments. I run this motor pool, so if you want your car, you'd better start being a little friendlier." Specialist Maria Rodriguez, another mechanic, spoke up nervously. "Sergeant Tucker, we should really check the computer." "Rodriguez, did I ask for your opinion?" Tucker barked. "Get back to work." He turned back to Jessica. "Sorry about that. These kids don't know about respect. Unlike me, I respect women, especially beautiful ones who know their place." "And where exactly is my place?" Jessica asked, her voice dangerously calm. Tucker moved even closer, backing her against a tool cabinet. "Well, that depends on how nice you are to me. Could be in that nice office over there having coffee while I personally service your vehicle. Could be at dinner tonight. Could be somewhere even nicer after that." "Or," Jessica said, not backing down despite being cornered, "it could be getting my vehicle without harassment from someone who clearly doesn't understand professional boundaries." Tucker's face darkened. "Listen here, sweetheart. You're in my house now. This is my motor pool. You want something from me, you better show proper respect." "Respect," Jessica almost laughed. "You don't know the meaning of the word." "Big talk from a little girl," Tucker sneered. "What are you going to do? File a complaint? Go ahead. I've been here longer than anyone. The commander loves me. I keep every vehicle on this base running. You're nobody." Jessica pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the base commander." Tucker laughed so hard he had to hold his stomach. "The base commander? You're going to call Major General Stevens? That's rich. You probably don't even know what he looks like." "Actually, I do," Jessica said, scrolling through her phone. Sure you do, sweetheart, and I bet you're best friends with the president, too. Tucker turned to his crew. Can you believe this? She thinks she can just call the commander. Jessica put the phone to her ear. After a moment, she spoke. General Stevens, this is Captain Jessica Martinez. Yes, sir, I just got back. I'm at the motor pool. Actually, sir, there is a situation here you should know about. Tucker's laughter died in his throat. The way she said, Captain, not like someone pretending, but with absolute certainty. Yes, sir, Master Sergeant Tucker, that's correct. No, sir, I'm in civilian clothes. Yes, sir, that would be helpful, thank you, sir. She hung up and looked at Tucker, whose face had gone from red to pale. He'll be here in 5 minutes. You're not, Tucker stammered. Jessica straightened up. Captain Jessica Martinez, commander of Alpha Company, 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team. I've been deployed for the past year leading combat operations in Afghanistan. And you, Master Sergeant Tucker, just made the biggest mistake of your career. The motor pool had gone completely silent. Every mechanic had stopped working, tools frozen in midair. Tucker's crew stared at their sergeant, then at Jessica, then back at Tucker like they were watching a car crash in slow motion. Tucker tried to recover, forcing a laugh that came out as a croak. You're joking. You're not a captain. You're two. Too what? Jessica asked coldly. Too young, too female, too small. Which stereotype would you like to hang your defense on, Sergeant? There's no Captain Martinez in 4th Brigade, Tucker said desperately. I know all the officers. Jessica pulled out her military ID and held it up. The Department of Defense seal, her photo in uniform, and most importantly, the rank of captain were clearly visible. Tucker's face went from pale to green. Private Chen whispered to Rodriguez, Oh my God, that's her. That's Captain Martinez. She's the one who... Shut up, Tucker snapped, but his voice cracked. He was starting to sweat despite the cool morning air. The one who what, Private Chen? Jessica asked, though she knew what he was going to say. Chen looked at Tucker, then at Jessica, and made a decision. You're the one who held Firebase Phoenix when it was overrun. 40 Taliban fighters against your platoon. You held for 6 hours until reinforcements arrived. That's classified information, Tucker said weakly. Not anymore, Jessica replied. It was declassified 2 months ago, and it wasn't 40 Taliban, it was 63. We counted the bodies. Rodriguez stepped forward. Ma'am, you're the one they call Iron Fox, aren't you? The youngest company commander in the brigade. Jessica didn't answer, but her silence was confirmation enough. Tucker tried one more desperate gambit. You're not in uniform, I didn't know. Stop, Jessica commanded, and Tucker's mouth snapped shut. You didn't know my rank, but you knew I was a human being. You knew I was asking for my property. You knew I was uncomfortable with your advances, and you didn't care. She walked around Tucker, who stood frozen in place. You called me sweetheart. Honey, beautiful, little girl, you blocked my path. You cornered me against that cabinet. You implied I needed to provide you sexual favors to get my own vehicle. I never said... Master Sergeant Tucker, Jessica's voice cut through his protest like a sword, I have a Bronze Star with Valor, a Purple Heart, and a Meritorious Service Medal. I've led over 100 soldiers in combat. I've called in airstrikes, coordinated with special forces, and made decisions that meant life or death for my troops. And you thought I was just some civilian girl you could intimidate. The sound of a vehicle approaching at high speed made everyone turn. A command vehicle screeched to a halt outside the motor pool, and Major General Robert Stevens stepped out, followed by Command Sergeant Major William Brooks and 2 military police officers. General Stevens was a tall, imposing man with silver hair and eyes that could freeze water. He walked into the motor pool, took in the scene, Tucker sweating bullets, Jessica calm but clearly angry, the mechanics all at attention, and his expression darkened. Captain Martinez, he said formally, then his tone warmed slightly. Welcome home. I heard you had an interesting morning. You could say that, sir, Jessica replied. The general turned to Tucker and any warmth evaporated. Master Sergeant Tucker, Captain Martinez tells me you've been sexually harassing her. Is this true? Tucker's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Sir, I didn't know she was an officer. She was in civilian clothes. So you only sexually harass civilians? The general's voice was deadly quiet. That makes it better somehow. No, sir, Did you or did you not call her sweetheart? Tucker swallowed. Yes, sir, but... Did you or did you not block her path when she tried to retrieve her vehicle? Sir, I was just... Did you or did you not suggest she needed to be friendlier to get her property? Tucker had no answer. The evidence was overwhelming and his entire crew had witnessed it. General Stevens turned to the mechanics. Did any of you witness this interaction? Chen stepped forward immediately. Yes, sir. Everything Captain Martinez said is true. Sergeant Tucker was completely inappropriate. Rodriguez joined him. I tried to suggest we check the access list, sir, but Sergeant Tucker told me to shut up. The other two mechanics nodded in agreement, abandoning their sergeant entirely. Command Sergeant Major, the general said. What's the maximum punishment for sexual harassment, conduct unbecoming an NCO, and disrespect to a commissioned officer? Brooks, a grizzled veteran with 30 years of service, replied loud enough for everyone to hear. Reduction in rank to E1, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, and up to 2 years confinement, sir, plus a dishonorable discharge. Tucker's legs nearly gave out. Sir, please, I have a family. I'm 3 years from retirement. You should have thought about that before you cornered a female soldier and demanded favors, Stevens said coldly. Then he turned to Jessica. Captain Martinez, do you want to press charges? Jessica looked at Tucker, who was now visibly shaking. Part of her wanted to destroy him, end his career, take his retirement, make him pay for every woman he'd probably done this to before. But she was thinking bigger. Sir, may I make a suggestion? Jessica said. Go ahead, Captain. I don't think Master Sergeant Tucker is an isolated problem. I think there's a culture issue here that needs addressing. She looked around the motor pool. How many female soldiers have come through here and experienced the same treatment? How many didn't have the rank or the direct line to you to do something about it? General Stevens nodded thoughtfully. What are you proposing? A full investigation of the motor pool operations, sir. Review all complaints from the past 2 years, interview every female soldier who's had vehicle work done here. And Master Sergeant Tucker can be the first to cooperate fully, names, dates, incidents, everything. Tucker's eyes widened in panic. Captain, please. Or, Jessica continued, we can handle this the official way. Court-martial, criminal charges, the works. Tucker understood immediately. Cooperate and maybe salvage something, or fight and lose everything. I'll cooperate, he said quickly, fully. There's more, Jessica said. I want Tucker removed from supervisory position immediately. Reduction in rank to staff sergeant. He forfeits his position as motor pool NCOIC and is assigned to the most junior position available. He also completes every sexual harassment and respect training the Army offers. Twice. That's very lenient, General Stevens observed. I'm not done, sir. He also writes a formal letter of apology to every female soldier he's harassed, and I bet there are many. And his retirement. He can keep it, but only if he completes all of this and has 0 incidents for his remaining 3 years. 1 complaint, 1 inappropriate comment, and he loses everything. Tucker nodded frantically. Yes, ma'am, I agree, all of it. General Stevens looked at Brooks. Sergeant Major, make it happen. Yes, sir. Brooks turned to Tucker. You're relieved of duty effective immediately. Report to my office in 1 hour for your reduction paperwork. As Tucker started to leave, Jessica called out, Oh, and Tucker, my vehicle. Tucker fumbled for keys with shaking hands. Bay 7, 3rd spot. It's been maintained and ready to go, ma'am. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? Jessica's tone was ice cold. All you had to do was your job without the harassment. After Tucker left, followed by the MPs, General Stevens turned to the remaining mechanics. Specialist Rodriguez, you're the acting NCOIC until we get a replacement. Can you handle that? Rodriguez straightened. Yes, sir. Good, and all of you, let this be a lesson. It doesn't matter if someone is in uniform or civilians, officer or enlisted. You treat everyone with respect. Clear. Clear, sir, they chorused. The general turned to Jessica. Captain, walk with me. They left the motor pool and walked toward the command building. Once they were out of earshot, Stevens spoke more casually. Jess, I'm sorry you had to deal with that on your first day back. It's not your fault, sir, Jessica replied. But it does highlight a problem. How many Tuckers are out there? How many female soldiers are being harassed by NCOs who think their rank gives them the right? Too many, Stevens admitted. Your idea about a comprehensive investigation, I'm implementing it base-wide, every unit, every section. They walked in silence for a moment before Stevens spoke again. You know, when I got the call that you were back, I was planning to come see you anyway. Your actions in Afghanistan, Firebase Phoenix, the Secretary of the Army has been asking about you. Jessica looked surprised. Sir, you're being considered for the Distinguished Service Cross, Jess. Maybe even higher. What you did out there, holding that position, saving those Marines who were pinned down. It's the kind of thing they write about in history books. I was just doing my job, sir. Stevens stopped walking and looked at her. No, you were doing a lot more than that, and speaking of doing more, I have a proposition for you. 2 hours later, Jessica sat in General Stevens' office, now in her ACU's Army combat uniform, her captain's bars properly displayed. Across from her sat Stevens, Command Sergeant Major Brooks, and surprisingly, a full-bird colonel she didn't recognize. Captain Martinez, Stevens began, this is Colonel Sarah Mitchell from the Pentagon's Office of Sexual Assault Prevention and Response. Colonel Mitchell leaned forward. Captain, what happened this morning isn't an isolated incident. We've been tracking a disturbing pattern across multiple bases. Senior NCOs using their positions to harass junior personnel, especially women. Jessica nodded. I suspected as much. Tucker was too comfortable, too practiced. He's done this before. 63 times, Mitchell said, sliding a folder across the desk. That's how many complaints have been filed at Fort Carson in the past 3 years that fit this pattern. Only 12 were officially investigated. None resulted in significant punishment. Jessica flipped through the folder, her anger building with each page. Private First Class Sarah Kim, harassed by her platoon sergeant, told she was too pretty for the Army. Specialist Janet Murphy, motor pool again, different NCO, same behavior. Second Lieutenant Ashley Chen, just commissioned, her own first sergeant made advances. It's systemic, Mitchell continued. And Fort Carson isn't even the worst, but that's why I'm here. We're creating a new task force, Operation Respect. We need someone to lead it who understands both sides, who's been in combat, who has credibility with both officers and enlisted. Jessica looked up. You want me? Stevens smiled. Not just want. The Secretary specifically requested you. Your combat record is impeccable. You're young enough to relate to junior soldiers, but experienced enough to stand up to senior NCOs and officers. And after what happened this morning, you've shown you can handle these situations with intelligence rather than just emotion. Plus, Brooks added, the enlisted troops already know about you. Iron Fox has a reputation. You brought every single soldier home from Firebase Phoenix. They trust you. Mitchell opened another folder. This is what we're proposing. You'll lead a team that conducts surprise inspections, investigations, and training across all Army installations. You'll have the authority to relieve anyone, regardless of rank, pending investigation. You'll report directly to the Secretary of the Army. Jessica's eyes widened. That's a lot of power for a captain. Which is why you won't be a captain for long, Stevens said with a grin. Your promotion to major is being fast-tracked, should be official within the month. Sir, I just made captain 18 months ago. And you've done more in those 18 months than most officers do in a decade, Stevens interrupted. Jessica, Tucker isn't going to be the last sergeant to call you sweetheart, to underestimate you because you're young, female, and attractive. But you can be the one who makes them think twice before they do it to someone else. Jessica stood and walked to the window, looking out at Fort Carson. Soldiers were going about their daily routines, PT, training, maintenance. How many of them were dealing with harassment? How many were afraid to speak up? What about my company? She asked. Alpha Company. Your XO, Lieutenant Morrison, is ready to take command. You trained him well. Jessica turned back to face them. If I do this, I want real authority, not just to investigate, but to implement immediate changes. Safe reporting systems, mandatory training that actually works, and consequences that stick. Mitchell smiled. That's exactly what we want. Tucker is going to be your first case study. We're going to document everything, his behavior, the investigation, the corrective actions. It'll be the template for handling these cases going forward. And Tucker himself? Brooks answered. He's already talking. Names, dates, incidents. Turns out he kept a little black book rating female soldiers who came through the motor pool. We've got enough to bury him, but your approach, Rehabilitation with a sword hanging over his head might actually work better. Jessica made her decision. I'll do it, but I have conditions. Name them, Mitchell said. First, I want a team that includes enlisted personnel. NCOs who have seen this problem from the ground level. Second, I want mental health support for victims. Real support, not just a hotline. Third, I want the authority to recognize and promote soldiers who do the right thing, who stand up against harassment even when it's their superiors doing it. Done, done, and done, Mitchell said immediately. Anything else? Jessica smiled for the first time that morning. Yes, I want Private Chen and Specialist Rodriguez from the motor pool on my team. They tried to do the right thing even when their NCO was wrong. That takes courage. 6 months later, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Master Sergeant Dale Cooper stood in front of his platoon, 30 soldiers arranged in formation for morning PT. He was about to make a joke about the new female private who'd just been assigned to them, something about how she was too pretty for the infantry, when he noticed unusual movement at the edge of the parade ground. 3 vehicles pulled up, unmarked but clearly official. Several people in ACUs stepped out, and Cooper's blood ran cold when he saw the tabs on their shoulders. Respect Task Force. Everyone in the Army knew about them now. They'd become legendary in just 6 months. 37 senior NCOs relieved of duty. 12 officers court-martialed. Hundreds of cases investigated. They showed up unannounced, interviewed everyone, and had the authority to destroy careers on the spot. Leading them was a young woman, Major Jessica Martinez. Cooper had heard the stories. Iron Fox, the youngest major in the Army. The woman who'd made Master Sergeant Tucker cry during his public apology to 43 female soldiers. Platoon attention, Cooper barked, his joke dying in his throat. Major Martinez approached with her team, which included several NCOs and, surprisingly, a command sergeant major. She stopped in front of Cooper. Master Sergeant Cooper, I'm Major Martinez, Respect Task Force. We're here for a routine inspection and training evolution. Stand your platoon at ease. Cooper complied, noticing how his soldiers were looking at Martinez with something approaching awe. Her reputation preceded her. Combat hero, defender of soldiers, the officer who'd stood up to a 3-star general who'd made inappropriate comments about female soldiers' uniforms. I understand you just received a new female soldier, Martinez said conversationally. Private Johnson. Yes, ma'am, Cooper replied, sweating now. What were you about to say about her before we arrived? Cooper's face went red. How did she know? Nothing inappropriate, ma'am. Martinez smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Master Sergeant, I've been doing this for 6 months. I can read body language, facial expressions, intentions. You were about to make a joke about her appearance, weren't you? Cooper couldn't lie. Something about her presence made deception impossible. Yes, ma'am. But you didn't. Why? Because you arrived, ma'am. And if I hadn't? Cooper was silent. Martinez raised her voice so the entire platoon could hear. This is the problem, soldiers. Harassment isn't just about what happens. It's about what we allow to happen. Master Sergeant Cooper, you have a choice. Make that joke now in front of me and face the consequences. Or acknowledge why it's wrong and help us train your platoon properly. Cooper looked at his soldiers, many of whom were female. He saw in their eyes years of jokes, comments, and inappropriate behavior they'd endured silently. It's wrong because it reduces Private Johnson to her appearance rather than her abilities as a soldier, Cooper said, the words difficult but necessary. It creates a hostile environment and undermines unit cohesion. Good start, Martinez said. She turned to the platoon. How many of you have heard inappropriate comments about fellow soldiers based on gender, appearance, or sexual orientation? Every hand went up. How many reported it? Only 2 hands remained up. Why? Martinez asked one of the soldiers who'd lowered their hand. A specialist spoke up. Because nothing happens, ma'am, or worse, we get labeled as troublemakers. Martinez nodded. That changes now. She pulled out a card and held it up. This is the new Respect hotline. It goes directly to my team, not your chain of command. You can report anonymously. Every single report gets investigated. She turned back to Cooper. Master Sergeant, you have potential. You stopped yourself, which shows awareness. I'm not here to end your career. I'm here to make you better. You're going to attend our senior NCO workshop. 3 days of intensive training on leadership, respect, and creating positive command climates. Yes, ma'am. And you're going to be one of our success stories. The NCO who changed, who became part of the solution instead of the problem. Later that day, Martinez sat in the base commander's office, briefing him on her findings. Her aide knocked and entered. Ma'am, you have a call from the Pentagon. It's the secretary. Martinez took the secure phone. Martinez here. Major Martinez, I wanted to personally inform you that your Distinguished Service Cross has been approved. The ceremony will be next month. Thank you, sir. There's more. The President has been following your work with the Respect Task Force. He wants to expand it to all branches of the military. You're being promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, and you'll be leading the Joint Service Initiative. Martinez was speechless for a moment. From captain to lieutenant colonel in less than a year, it was almost unheard of. Sir, I'm honored, but... No buts, Martinez. You've revolutionized how we handle harassment and assault in the military. Reporting is up 400%. Convictions are up 300%. And most importantly, incidents are down 60%. You're making the military safer for everyone. After the call, Martinez walked out to the parade ground where Cooper's platoon was conducting training. She watched Private Johnson, the female soldier Cooper had almost made a joke about, leading a squad in tactical maneuvers. She was good, really good. Cooper approached Martinez. Ma'am, I wanted to thank you. For what? For stopping me from being another Tucker. I've been in the Army 18 years, and I never realized how my words affected my soldiers. Private Johnson, she's one of the best soldiers I've got. I almost diminished that with a stupid joke. Martinez nodded. The fact that you can see that now means there's hope. Spread that awareness, Master Sergeant. Be the NCO your female soldiers can trust and respect. As she walked back to her vehicle, Martinez thought about that morning 6 months ago when Tucker had called her sweetheart. She could still feel the rage, the humiliation, the frustration. But she'd channeled it into something positive, something transformative. Her phone buzzed with a message from General Stevens. Saw Tucker's latest report. Model soldier now, 0 complaints. Actually mentoring female mechanics. You did that. She typed back, he did that, I just gave him a choice. Another message, this one from Private Chen, now Specialist Chen, who was part of her task force. Ma'am, just wanted you to know, we investigated another motor pool today. The NCO in charge had your photo on his desk. Not in a creepy way. He said it reminds him to be the leader you'd respect. Martinez smiled. Real change, lasting change. That night in her temporary quarters, Jessica looked at her new rank insignia, the silver oak leaf of a lieutenant colonel. She thought about all the NCOs who'd called her sweetheart, honey, baby throughout her career. Most had gotten away with it. But now, across the entire Army, NCOs were thinking twice. Officers were being held accountable. Junior soldiers had a voice. All because one master sergeant had called her sweetheart on the wrong day, at the wrong time, in front of the wrong captain. Tucker still served at Fort Carson, now as a staff sergeant in the motor pool. He'd become something of a legend himself. The NCO who'd been brought down by a captain in civilian clothes, who'd reformed completely, who now trained others on respect and dignity. Jessica had visited him once, 3 months into his rehabilitation. How's it going, Staff Sergeant Tucker? He'd stood at attention. Outstanding, ma'am. I've apologized to 37 female soldiers so far. Each one taught me something about the damage I'd done. And I'm grateful you gave me a chance to make it right instead of just ending my career. I was a toxic leader. Now I'm trying to be a positive one. Keep it up, Tucker. You've got 2.5 years left to prove yourself. I will, ma'am. Every female soldier who comes through this motor pool will be treated with absolute respect. That's my promise. And so far, he'd kept it. As Lieutenant Colonel Jessica Martinez drifted off to sleep, she thought about the future. The Respect Task Force was expanding. Joint service meant working with Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. Bigger challenges, more entrenched attitudes to change. But she was ready. After all, she'd been called sweetheart by a master sergeant and lived to tell about it. More importantly, she'd made sure no one else would have to.